What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Jason Morrison. Today I'm bringing you guys my Panasonic Lumix GH5 settings, and hopefully you guys will enjoy kind of what I got. As you guys know, if you've been watching my channel, I got the GH5 just a few weeks ago, and during that time, I've made some videos with it. I've kind of shot some short sequences with it. I'm working on a really dope video that I will show you guys hopefully later this month, and I feel like I've gotten a decent feel for it. Luckily, I had the GH4 before the GH5, so I'm pretty familiar with it. But there's still a lot I need to learn. I've learned that you can do with this camera that I haven't really delved into just yet. If you're a big, long-time Lumix GH fan or just Panasonic user in general, obviously put it down in the comments if you guys see anything or anything sticks out to you that you think I could be doing better. And if you are new to using Panasonic cameras, or you just picked up the GH5, or you're thinking about picking up the GH5 and my settings happen to help you, obviously put that down in the comments as well. And hopefully you like this video, so make sure to slap a like on it if you do. So yeah, hopefully you guys like my GH5 settings. Like I said, I've managed to put out some decent content with it. We're still new to it, still definitely looking for advice and any tips on how I can improve. And I will probably make an updated GH5 settings video in the future when I've kind of had more hands-on time, shot more projects, and kind of been really more out there with the camera and have really delved more hours into using it. And I'm sure my pros and cons will come up in the future the more I kind of get my hands on it. But I might do a pros and cons, or just how the Panasonic GH5 holds up in 2021 video. So put it down in the comments if you guys want that video as well. But without dragging this out too long, let's go over to my settings and let me show you guys kind of what I've been working with over the past few weeks since I picked up the GH5. So let's go. Alrighty guys, so we are over on my GH5. And we are in the the movie video mode right there. As you guys can see, I typically film in this setting just because I think it's obviously the best, and I'm using manual focus like 99.9% of the time. Also guys, I'm not like the GH5 master, or what I mean, like I don't know every setting there ever was on the GH5. So if I say something incorrectly, or there's something that there's a better way to do something, obviously just feel free to let me know in the comments. But I'm just going based on my knowledge and my experience going from the GH4 over to the GH5 and my hands-on time with it. So like I said, feel free to correct me. I'm not claiming to know everything. But starting off in the top setting, as you guys can see, I keep my exposure mode obviously in manual. I like to be able to control for the most part everything that I am doing. Anamorphic, I have it off. Loop recording video, I keep that off. Synchro scan, excuse me, I keep that off. A lot of these settings I don't even really mess with. But something that is very important, especially for filmmakers, is you want to go to SS/gain operation, and I believe it starts off with second/ISO. You want to go down and change that to angle ISO. What that does, guys, is the 180-degree shutter rule, where you want your frame rate to be half of what your shutter should be. What that does is SS/gain operation does that automatically for you. As you can see, I have it set to 180, and my frame rate is 23.98 or 24 FPS. So my shutter speed is automatically going to be 48 or 50 shutter speed, just so we have that smooth motion blur, and everything is set up to be the most cinematic that it can be in real, the real life motion blur, as you guys can tell, and like I mentioned in the last video. So you definitely want to have SS/gain operation on. Going back, however, vector scopes, you can use vector scope, or like I don't use it on the GH5 only because it's just so big. It takes up so much room on the screen. So typically I don't use it, but you guys are more than welcome to use those. It helps you kind of helps you see what your lighting situation is. Heading over into the camera settings, record format, you can pick MOV, but I pick MP4, just a preference. It's not really too big of a difference. Typically I am using the 4K setting at 24 FPS. My micro SD card does not allow me to film at higher than 150 megabits, so I keep that there. Continuous autofocus, I just leave that off. Like I said, I'm shooting in manual like 90% of the time, and for some reason my autofocus doesn't even work too well on the GH5, so we're gonna have to figure that out. Oh, you guys can see me a little bit. Let's see, moving on. I put my picture profile in Cinelike D. My contrast is at -5. My sharpness is at -1. I leave my noise reduction at 0, and I put my saturation to -1. I think these are the best settings to kind of get the best look out of camera that's not too oversaturated. I don't like shooting in vlog. I don't even think I added it over into this camera just because I don't really want it to be honest. I like kind of the way that the picture and colors come out of the GH5 just with the settings that I do have. But moving on, lumens level, we put that 64, 10, 23. I think it starts off like that. Metering mode, I don't touch. Oh, let's go back. Metering mode, I don't touch. I leave it right there. Dynamic, I put that at low. Resolution, we leave that off. Let's see, nothing I really use over here. Stabilizer, I don't really touch it. I think the GH5 has perfect stabilization the way it is. Mic level adjustment, you know, this is just a personal preference. I put it up 3, but that's usually when I'm using an external mic. Wind noise canceller, I leave that standard. Sound output, real time. Nothing I really touch there. So that's pretty much all I have for that setting over there. Moving on to exposure, which is where like the majority of where I kind of change things around. ISO increments, I put it to 1/3, and what that does, guys, is when you're changing the ISO, instead of going from like 800 to 1600 or 1000 or whatever the case may be, the ISO just goes up in smaller increments. You know how it's going from 100 to 125 to 160. It just, you know, it allows you to have more meticulous changes in your ISO, and you're just messing around with your settings rather than jumping up big increments each time. So definitely put 1/3 increments instead of 1. As I can show you guys, see, like it just jumps super big increments, 800 all the way to 1600. You definitely want to be able to kind of go and narrow down what your exposure should be, and just kind of be a lot more meticulous and direct with what you're trying to go for. Extended ISO, I keep that on. I don't generally go above 3200 ISO anyway, or 1600, but you know that I just turn it on just in case. AF/AE lock, I keep that as AF on, autofocus on. I don't touch the exposure comp reset. Going over to my shutter autofocus, I leave that on. Half press release on. Quick autofocus on. Eye sensor autofocus, I leave it on. Pinpoint autofocus settings, I have that as short and there. Honestly, like I said, if any of these settings you guys, you know, kind of sticks out to you that I should maybe turn it off or readjust, feel free to let me know in the comments. These are just kind of what I've been having as of late. Moving on, because I don't really care about focus release priority or any of that. Majority of those are off. Autofocus area display, I leave that on. Autofocus plus manual focus, I leave that on as well. Manual focus assist, so I keep it at the second setting, and what that does is when I'm focusing, let me turn this up so you guys can see a little easier, is instead of like trying to guess when something is in focus, it zooms in automatically for me. It's a little grainy, so you guys are not going to be able to kind of see it too well. Oh, we don't record. Let me turn the ISO down actually and show you guys a better example, just by dropping that right there. So yeah, you know, I can just tell that chord over there is in focus because it zooms in, and it just makes life a whole lot easier when you're trying to figure out what's in focus. Manual focus assist display, I keep that at full. White balance ISO and exposure buttons, you know, I do that after pressing. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all the settings I've messed with, because I don't do a lot of button remapping. Oh, excuse me. So focus peaking is super duper important. If you don't know what focus peaking is, it's it kind of it highlights whatever's in focus. So let me kind of point the camera at something that is going to be in focus. A lot of, let's see if you guys can kind of see. My focus peaking color is green, and you can pick that in the settings, but I want you guys to be able to kind of see an example. So I don't know if you can see, but the speaker right there, it starts to highlight in green, kind of right there, if you guys can see that. And what that does is it lets you know it's in focus. So it's very useful when you are, you know, in bright situations, or you just don't know what's in focus. Focus peaking will save you of, you know, a big majority of the time. So definitely want to turn focus peaking on. Histogram is super important. It's an essential. What it does is when all the information is over on the right side, that means you're overexposed. When all the information is over on the left side, it means you're underexposed. You want to keep all this information right here in the middle, and that means you're perfectly exposed. Guidelines, I keep it on you know, the grid, just so I can frame my shots and just kind of go by the rule of thirds. I think it's very important. I keep it in 16:9. I think it's just easiest, as you guys can see kind of the guidelines right there, and it just helps me frame up my shots a little bit easier than guessing. Center marker, I keep it on because I like to be able to know what's in the center of my shot. Highlight, I keep that on as well. Zebra patterns are very important. What zebra patterns do is they let you know when things are overexposed. So let me turn my ISO all the way up for no reason. And as you guys can see, those zebra patterns right there are letting you guys know what's completely overexposed and what is in within a good range of exposure. So that can definitely help you when you don't know whether or not your shot is overexposed or not, or blown out. And yeah, I think those are all my settings. Going back into the home screen, so going back, I hit the display button just to have these lines to let you know when your shot is framed up correctly. It turns green when you're level and kind of yellow when you're off center or off kilter. So it's very, very important, and I think it's just super useful to know when you're kind of level with the ground or your environment. So that helps me out a lot. And going, I feel like that's pretty much it, guys. I shoot in manual focus 99% of the time. For some reason, my autofocus won't work. It only works when I'm shooting in 60 FPS or 30 FPS. I'll show you guys right now. If I switch it over to autofocus, it works. But if I go to 24 FPS, it just goes straight to manual focus. So let me know in the comments if that is a very common issue with the GH5, or maybe mine is just defective or whatever it is. I'm not too sure. But anyways, guys, those are my Panasonic GH5 settings. Like I said, feel free to put down in the comments if there is something I'm missing or a very important setting that I may be able to put in or dial into my GH5 to help me get better results and just better picture quality. But hopefully this video can help you guys out, and that's kind of what I've managed to come up with during my my few weeks having the camera. If you guys like this video, feel free to drop a like on it. Like I said, guys, my name is Jason Morrison. I do a lot of filmmaking related content and videography, and just kind of displaying to you guys my journey becoming a filmmaker. And I'm just trying to grow a community of people who just love to be creative and just can be really friendly, and vlogs and short films. I'm never going to put myself in the box. I like to do a lot of stuff. But without rambling, guys, that's been the video. I would love to see you guys in the next video. And that's been it, guys. Peace.